Bodhisattva being a practitioner having actualized Bodhicitta, meaning not just understand Bodhicitta, but to actualize it. Once this motivation of Bodhicitta is actualized in our mind, it means it is not separable anymore from that mind. We sometimes give the example of pouring milk into water. After it is quite difficult to differentiate which is what. So when Bodhicitta is actualized in one's mind, it will sustain, it will underline all our thoughts, all our actions, having for consequence that all what will be done by Bodhisattva, all what will be done by somebody who has actualized Bodhicitta is for the sake of the others. When a Bodhisattva eats, when a Bodhisattva sleeps, it is always with the motivation of helping the others. It serves the goal of helping the others. It happens that Bodhicitta is translated in Western countries as compassion. By default, because there is not another word really that we can relate to. But since the word compassion is already quite loaded with meaning in our society and can be found to be more a mental factor than a sustained motivation, it is not comparable really with Bodhicitta. The closest translation would be, of course, awakening mind or mind for awakening. When we understand the urge of helping all the other sentient beings to reach enlightenment because they are in suffering, because they are creating causes for further sufferings, then we take a very deep and inner decision, which is to engage our own life, to engage our own person into the liberation of all these others. We take a strong decision, which is, from now on, all what I do should be for helping the others. This decision is without any limit, as we say in space and time. No limit in time and space means in time, because once we actualize bodhicitta, this bodhicitta will never disappear, even if we have not yet reached liberation, which means that all future life we will have bodhicitta, we will hold bodhicitta, and all what we will do in the future will be for the sake of all the other sentient beings. Even once having realized Buddhahood, having reached complete enlightenment, of course, we continue to act completely for the sake of the others. And without any limits in the space, it is a bit more complicated maybe to understand right now, because we have already quite some difficulty to be focused in one place and at one time. But a bodhisattva who has reached liberation from the samsara has the opportunity, the possibility to manifest himself in several places, several points at the same time. So further the bodhisattva grow on the path, and further he can spread his activity throughout the world in order to help as many sentient beings as possible. So to develop this bodhicitta, one must undergo a certain work on the mind, because we are used to think in a rather selfish way, and when it is not directly selfish just for our own being, it can be selfish for just our own family or extended family or a certain group of people that we care for, and the others, after all, at minima we don't care, and quite too often we would wish that either some trouble happened to them or they disappear. So we have to change completely that state of mind from this kind of selfish attitude towards viewing the others as worth our help. So how this is done? Well, we have to understand that throughout all the cycle of rebirth that we went through since beginningless time, since time our mind cannot comprehend anyhow, since our consciousness exists, we have met possibly all each other. We have met all the beings we are in contact with today, and even those we are not directly in contact with. We have been all for each other very closely related, sometimes our mothers, our fathers, brothers, and so on. So there is a bound between each individual, which we might have forgotten, which we do not necessarily feel, which we do not recall, yet which is there. So developing this understanding, meditating on this understanding, we become closer to each other, understanding that all beings surrounding us, after all, deserve our help, and we will engage into the practice and into the highest realization for their sake, for helping them. An example for this kind of urge to help the others would be if you see a house which is in fire and inside is locked, either your mother, father, family, your children, the closest being that you can think about. When you see this to happen, you cannot just walk around the house and do nothing and okay, I will take care of that later on, right? Because you understand the emergency of the situation, because you understand the suffering of the beings who are into the house. So you will feel immediately the urge to do something. Yes, to try to extinguish the fire, to try to instruct the people inside how to escape safely the building. You would not spend some time doing nothing, right? So the same urge applies nowadays when we understand all this correctly. All our mother sentient beings are into this kind of burning house already. Why? Because constantly they are accumulating causes for suffering by their wrongdoings, by their projections, by their negative thoughts. They are accumulating negative karmas, which might not even keep them as a human being in the next life. That this karma might bring them into a very painful type of rebirth. So we have the urge right now to find a way to teach them how to get out of this cycle of karma creation, which bring them from suffering to suffering.